Right, is that Coke for me?
Yeah.
Ah, champion.
Coke for you and some sweets.
Lovely, champion.
Have some sweets.
Lovely. Oh. Get refreshed before we start.
Yeah. Got a belly full of fajitas. Had fajitas earlier. Oh, lovely.
You had fajitas for your supper?
Mm-hmm. For my supper.
I haven't had dinner yet.
What are you going to have?
I don't know, mate. I'm just glad to have some caffeine because, like I said, I wanted to have a coffee element for this, so you almost feel like you're having a coffee with friends. But Gales is shut because obviously doing it at night time.
Yeah.
So obviously doing this for the first time, people aren't going to know what the hell's going on.
Nope.
Essentially, the idea I had for this was there's loads of podcasts out there, and they all have a lot of wedding podcasts. I think they're all great, but they have a very set format. I want to do something a little bit more informal where we just sort of freestyle and chat a bit more openly about things rather than having topics. Maybe get people on if they want to come on in the future. But just like a wedding coffee chat you might have if you meet up with one of your friends in the industry. Basically, a lot more informal, relaxed, and like I say, freestyle.
Yeah, but exactly like you would with a friend at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one the key points is with all these is we work in the industry predominantly on our own, so it's nice to actually have that sort of community around you so you can kind of feed off each other, share some stories, get some tips, get some advice. I think
Sometimes a bit of support.
Yeah, hugely. I think support is a massive thing.
Someone to lift you up, and it's like I say, it can be pretty isolated.
Pretty isolating. You can also be drowning in editing, if it being video, photo, designing, whatnot.
And with that comes the stress of the backlog.
Yeah, but you also need to vent, and you need that to kind of release. And I think having that community around you is so key for it as well.
We should probably introduce ourselves, say who we are and what we do.
Do you want to go first?
I can go first, don't mind. So I'm Scott from HC Visuals. I'm a wedding videographer. And at the moment we are recording in Black Hound Tattoo, which is a studio I run with my wife, and Paul here, his girlfriend works here as well. She's also a tattoo artist. That's kind of irrelevant. We're not here to talk about the tattoo
That's how
industry.
we kind of met.
But that's how we met. So I guess it is an integral part of the story because they work together.
It's the foundation.
I mean, we could get to that. Maybe you could just sort of give your own little intro
first
as well.
I'm Paul Nelson. I've been running my business since 2017, I think now, and started doing weddings. I think it was probably literally almost when I started as well. So it must be around I think it's coming to 8 years now. I think I'm going to be on year 8. So so it's been a definite good roller coaster. Owning your own business is definitely difficult, but it's been fun.
Yeah,
it's been really good, especially doing weddings as well. Jumping into that with almost zero experience.
Yeah,
that was always a hard bit.
When you started photography, did you immediately do weddings, or were you doing other stuff first?
So actually, funny enough, weddings was kind of what actually started making me think that I could start doing this as a business. So it was almost like I did a couple as I was there as a guest with my camera.
Yeah.
I wasn't one of them not annoying. Wasn't one of them guests that brought the camera and asking me a million questions, or I was asking someone a million questions of what do I do here, what do I do here. I was like, I've got a camera, I like photography. Let me just take a couple of snaps.
Yeah.
And then I sent them to the couple afterwards, and they really liked them. And then that happened again, 2 more times.
And you've got a mini portfolio then, just to
start
building up.
Kind of. So this is what I can do, and I had a very basic camera. I had I think I started with a Canon 600D with probably 150mm lens 1.8. Which is the
Nifty 50.
It's the Nifty 50, exactly.
Yeah, I've got one in the drawer over there actually.
Honestly,
I haven't got a Canon anymore, but
to anyone that always asks me what should I get that lens. It will change the whole world of photography. Yeah, 1.8 because it's you can pick them up for £50.
Yeah,
second hand or something. So that happened, and I got my first ever one. My first ever booking solo was just before I started my business. I think this was in December, and it was at the Randolph Hotel in Oxford. So it's for me that I couldn't have felt any more in the wrong place, because I was this photographer who literally just got a brand new camera that day, or a week before. I got an 80D and I had a Mark V Canon 5D Mark IV, sorry,
Yeah.
on the way, literally, that got delivered the same day as the wedding. And I was doing one of the biggest hotels in Oxford.
It's
and
nice
I was like,
in there as well.
yeah, it's really nice.
Well,
but
I think they've renovated it recently, and it's like
it's
pretty
amazing.
lush
It's really
in
nice.
there.
It was quite, so when I did it, it was back when it had the old decor in it, before they revamped it. But yeah, it was just, I was just thinking to myself, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And I did it, and I
Slightly
really enjoyed
terrified.
it. Oh, I was petrified. I was, the whole day I was so scared, but luckily it was a friend's brother and partner, and they were both like the nicest people in the world, and we got some good
Yeah.
shots of them. The whole day just went really well, and they kind of walked away from it like, yeah, I could do this. I can definitely do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then pretty much then I think I just started my company up. I think it was in the March, and then that was it. I never looked back. Jumped straight into.
What year was this?
Oh God, I think it was 2017.
Okay,
I
think you said
believe. I believe it's 2017.
Yeah.
I was trying to remind myself of when it was, but yes, I believe it's 2017. I literally just jumped in. I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
So when we met, you had been doing it for quite a while.
Was it? It was pre-COVID we met, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we met to give some context to what we were saying before. Our girlfriends worked together.
Yeah.
My girlfriend at the time, she's now my wife, at a tattoo studio at that time they were in Amersham. In Amersham. So I think we then met through going to the convention in Leeds, which they now have a wedding fair on, interestingly enough.
Hilarious.
An alternative wedding fair at the
Yeah.
tattoo convention. So maybe it's
One day,
a bridge we can cross one day.
coming soon.
So yeah, I guess I then knew you for a couple of years, and it was kind of just before we were going into COVID, I started tinkering with cameras myself, doing music videos for a band I was in at that time.
Yeah. But you were doing a corporate job as well, weren't you?
I was working a corporate job and I was trying to find a way out, and I kind of stumbled across videography by mistake because, like I say, with the band, I was like, we want to have a music video for the songs we've recorded, but we can't afford to pay someone to do it.
Yeah.
And I thought, I could probably do it. So I borrowed a camera off Sophie's dad and just started shooting videos, and it kind of built from there. I put myself on Fiverr. Remember Fiverr?
I remember Fiverr.
I think it's still going.
I was going to say, it must be still going.
Yeah, and then COVID happened, and I was on Fiverr, and I was like, there's not a lot I can do. And then I got a message randomly out of the blue on there from this guy, and he was like, hi, I represent this band in the States. They're looking to get a lyric video for a new single that they're releasing. And I was like, he's like, you may have heard of them. They're called LA Guns. And at this point, right, some people might have heard of LA Guns, like most people probably haven't.
Yeah,
but for me,
I've heard of them, but I don't know who's in the band.
for me, it was a huge deal because I knew who LA Guns were.
Yeah.
Basically, their lead guitarist is a guy called Tracy Guns. That's probably not his real name.
Yeah, I'm hoping
On
that's
his
I'm
birth
hoping that's his
certificate.
real name.
Tracy Guns, he was a founding member of Guns N' Roses.
Right.
So this message
Watch where you're
said,
gonna go with this.
Tracy would like you to make a lyric video. I'd done one for my band and it was on Fiverr, an example. He's like,
Yeah.
I really like what you did. And I thought, this is definitely one of my mates winding me up. And he's like, here's a link to the new single. You'll be the only person outside of Eddie Trunk to have heard this. And Eddie Trunk is like this huge rock DJ in the States. So
Yeah.
it's definitely
Again,
a
is
wind up.
that his Christian name as well?
I don't know.
Eddie
He's
Trunk and Tracy
very well
Guns.
known, like renowned DJ. But there was a link on there, and I was like, I don't know if I want to click on this. Like, is it going to be a virus? Like, is it going to take me to
It's like,
some?
this is a definite wind up.
I honestly thought it was one of my mates because I'd
Yeah.
set it up. I'd put it on like Facebook that I was doing it, on Instagram. I clicked on it, and this song started playing. I was like, oh, I'll just Shazam it. So I Shazammed it, and they'd obviously done the steps that you need to do that gets the code that like Shazam use. I don't know the technology, but it has like codes, like metadata built into the songs.
Yeah.
So it came up LA Guns, and I was like, fuck, like, it's legit.
Yeah.
So then I did that. That was obviously amazing. But obviously being in COVID, the music video stuff kind of dried up, and I was doing my corporate job from home, working from home.
Yeah. Quite unquote.
I found myself on YouTube just kind of learning about videography, researching it. And then I found this guy called Scott McKenna. He's a videographer in the States, and he'd done a lot of like behind the scenes at weddings, like full length videos, like some of them are like over an hour long. And it's just kind of like, that's what
It intrigued you.
Intrigued me, got the wheels turning, and then I started speaking to you more. You were doing weddings, and it kind of led from there. I think you helped me get some of my first bookings, which were when we were coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
Notley Tithe Barn. That was like the first full wedding day that I did, and that was with you. Prior to that, I did just a ceremony at the Bodleian Library in Oxford.
That's our bucket list one. I'd love to do that one day.
Absolutely incredible place. Like to go there for the first time you're shooting something.
It's an incredible building, isn't it? Inside and out, it's amazing.
Yeah, and it's like the ceremony is like one of those things. It's like you got one shot at it, you don't mess it up, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Don't miss that first kiss.
Yeah.
So yeah, in a nutshell, that was kind of how I started out.
When you're first starting out, that's what's going through your mind the whole day. It's like emotionally and mentally exhausting because you've got a list in your head that I need to catch these key moments. And I think the more you do them, the more you can like relax. So I know I've got to do this. It's almost like you don't even think about it, you just do it.
Yeah.
But in that sort of time, you're like, I need to get these key moments. I don't want to ruin this for them.
Yeah.
This is like their one moment.
Exactly.
They can't redo this.
If you go through the timeline of the day, it's obviously the first kiss. Obviously, you're going to get the whole ceremony on video. When you're a videographer, you've got the whole thing on.
Yeah.
As a photographer, you're capturing those certain key moments. And then it's, for me, then the biggest pressure then I feel after that is the speeches. Again, a lot of it is coming down to like making sure I get all the audio right. So ceremony speeches, I feel once the speeches are finished, I can like relax a little bit more. There aren't like big key moments. Obviously, you've got cake cut, first dance, but
all the audio, it's kind of the audio moment.
Audio side, that's a case of I just need to know that where to be when the first dance is going to kick off or the cake cut. And normally it's cake cut straight to the dance floor.
Yeah.
So as long as you're stood by the cake, you're not going to miss it.
Wherever they are, then you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. And normally there's a little lull there, isn't there, after dinner, and it's like you're just waiting for the cake cut to happen. So that's the story of how we met, started out.
Yeah, that's the story of Scott's videography.
And that
must have been
2020. I did 9 weddings, I think.
In 2020?
2021.
2021. 2020 was COVID.
COVID, I didn't actually.
I think I did about 3.
I was booking them up in 2020. Yeah. So then 2021 came around, and as we were coming out of the lockdowns, I did 9 weddings that year. I did a few for free because you got to pay your dues starting out. Yeah,
absolutely.
And then the following year was 2022. I did like 22.
Yeah.
So it's quite a big jump.
Started ramping up very quickly for you. I remember for you, like seeing kind of the progression with you is like, it seemed like it wasn't like a crawl to run phase. It was, you got out of bed and you just started sprinting. Oh. And it was just like, and it kind of just kept going down that path right now, which is great.
Yeah.
The momentum's fantastic.
I had to learn a lot as I've been going. And I was doing it in 2022. I was doing it alongside a office job, full-time office job. So doing that during the day and then doing the edits in the evening and then on the weekends filming weddings and then it was pretty intense. And then, but then I was kind of building up this surplus income from having 2 jobs, and then that's what allowed me to open this place with Sophie.
Yeah.
And then, as luck would have it, around the time this was about to open, I was made redundant from the corporate job. And so this and the HD visual stuff was then
born
full-time
going on. I think
that's sink or swim, basically.
That's like kind of another thing as well. It's like, it's clearly it was meant to be. If that was going to happen at that point, same as me, I was made redundant just before I started my business. Yeah. And I was like, well, I've got nothing else right now going for me. So why not try out something totally different? Yeah. And then I think a lot of time is, and then you don't look back.
It's the push you need, isn't it?
It is, definitely. Because otherwise you get settled in such a comfy sort of work life. And you're like, I'll do it one day. Just do it. Yeah. Just take that jump and just see how it pans out.
Yeah, and I would hope that this could become a resource for people who are starting out and they're like wanting a bit of kind of unpretentious industry insight. Because I'm not saying that the resources out there are pretentious, but I'm not going to heavily edit this. I'm not going to beat around the bush or just make out that everything is like shiny and rosy. Yeah. Because we've both had our own challenges, which I'm sure we can discuss as well. Yeah. A lot of shit things do happen.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's great.
There's been a lot of things, like I've had quite a few photographers reach out to me on Instagram, and I'm always happy to help them out. Like,
Yeah.
you get people like, I'm wanting to start out, I'm thinking about doing this. You know, can I pick your brains? Like,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because I think even when I kind of started my business, I was still trying to talk to people to try and get a little bit more advice, and I did get quite a lot of negativity back
From other photographers?
Yeah, almost like your competition, no, or you're trying to start in my area, no. That sort of thing, and and that was a bit like, okay, that's fine.
So a photographer in the Oxfordshire area was kind of like, not.
I'm not naming names, but yeah.
No, but just generally. So say somebody in the Oxfordshire area, you'd contact them, and they'd be like, they'd kind of see it as a bit of a threat. Like,
yeah, almost like no, like you know, people will have to like pay for this sort of stuff, or you do have to pay your dues in some form of way, like, you know, assist people, like shadow people, second shoot people.
Yeah.
Which, if I've got a wedding that allows me to do that, I'll be like, yeah, come along, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, you can learn from me. You know, it's not going to cost a couple anything.
Absolutely. And that happened to us this year.
Yeah.
So I was doing a wedding with a girl who's just starting out, and I'm a big believer in karma. So I was like, I knew that we had a wedding together. Was it September?
Yeah.
So I just said to her, look, I'll speak to Paul and see if he needs some help, because I know that bride had said she wants bride prep covered at the same time. And they were quite far apart, so it was going to be a bit of a juggling act
She was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she did a fantastic job. For someone who definitely hasn't been doing it that long, I think she's got a good career ahead of her.
Yeah, I hope so. And,
yeah.
you know, that was kind of like, I would always want to help someone out, because there were people that helped me out in the beginning. You can't, it's easy to forget yourself and be like, oh, well, good luck to you. See you at the next one. But actually, if you can lend a hand to someone, who knows where they might end up in 5 years, 10 years. If they remember that, they could be the next big thing. And I'm not saying that's why you should do it, to try and get something in return, but... No.
I just like, I like the factors. If I can help someone, I love doing it.
Good karma.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And even like, so even with couples, if they're like, can you recommend this person? Can you do this? Can you do that? Yeah, 100%. I can try and help out as much as I can. Because I know that it's providing a bit more to the service, and I just feel better doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's a good question for you. Do you, or how do you feel on sort of weddings from different cultures? Are you quite open-minded to experience all of these? Like, to see how different ceremonies and different, I don't know if they all would be classed as weddings, but I guess they would be. And how they run and how they're formatted. What's your sort of thoughts for it?
I'd say the more variety in my wedding season, the better. So I've done a fair few over the years, and quite an eclectic mix. So the first one that springs to mind, I did a Greek-Chinese wedding.
Oh, wow. That sounds cool.
Groom was Greek, bride was Chinese.
Yeah. That sounds fantastic.
So they had elements of both cultures in there. They did that Greek dancing in the evening.
Oh, wow.
You know, where they like hook feet and like spin around and...
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely incredible. And they do a dance, the bride and groom do a dance, and all the guests come and pin money on them.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, they probably had thousands of pounds just like hanging off of them. £50 notes, 20s, just
Amazing.
I've done in 2024 Bulgarian and Malaysian.
Yeah, nice.
Which is a nice mixed crowd.
A really good mix then.
Yeah, and obviously we did. Is it Hindu?
I believe so. Yeah, because I always like to. I was trying to say just like, oh, it's an Indian wedding, but that's very broad.
Yes.
There's so many different sort of aspects.
Specifically, it was Hindu.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed that just because of the different events. I just thought were insane. Just because they're so good.
5 events we did, wasn't it?
Yeah, 5 events out of 6, I believe. We couldn't do one. We both couldn't do one event.
Yes.
But yeah, I loved it. You kind of get to experience different ways of different cultures of how they're all constructed from like day to day. Whereas normally a British one is one day done.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is because you kind of get your teeth sunk into so many different ones, and you start seeing the guests multiple times. They get really like, oh, I know, it's just Scott and Paul. We can relax with them now. We can just, and like, you kind of get more fun footage and fun photos, don't you?
Yeah.
From it.
And I don't want to get too deep, but it kind of like, if you sort of step back, like, if you're at weddings with different cultures, you know, it's kind of people from different corners of the globe. If you kind of boil it down to like the core elements of what it means to the bride, to the groom, to their parents, it kind of like just re-emphasizes that we are just all the same.
Yeah.
You know, their emotions for their children and for their parents and for their husband and their wife, they're just like, it's the same across the world. So like all these divisions and like racism and prejudices, if you're there at a wedding and you think it's all just such absolute nonsense, because
we are all the same.
we're all the same.
Yeah.
You see what family means to people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do feel like, because like sometimes you kind of come into them and you feel like, I don't feel like it's probably the right fit. But then when you kind of do them, it's like you said, we're all the same person.
Yeah.
And
we have the same fears and wishes and desires in life, you know.
And I think it's good when you kind of come into it like really open-minded as well, so you can kind of see how just other cultures do everything. I just found it really fascinating.
And it's not to say that, you know, don't enjoy the British weddings.
I think the British weddings are like, you kind of know exactly what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is
They're bread and butter.
Yeah, but we kind of know, the timeline in the back of your hand. Each one's near enough the same.
Yeah, so that's the thing about weddings, isn't it? Like, to the couple, it's kind of like, it's so new and overwhelming, but we've done it 1,000 times, so it's, you know, like you say, we know it like the back of our hands, but it's always the same but different.
Yeah.
It's still always unique in like how it plays out. You know, the different elements, the way that the day's been curated.
Yeah, the template is always the same, but it's how people do get their own spin and twist on it.
Exactly.
It's always so much more fun. In October was a pagan one. That was so much fun to actually have a pagan wedding. That was awesome.
Did they have a ceremony that was legally binding, or was it just more of a ceremonial thing? And they had a registrar thing separate?
No, legally binding.
Okay.
Yeah, it was legally binding. It was just
so they had a proper registrar there too. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the ceremony itself wasn't pagan. It was. Did they have any additional little ceremonial things? Because don't they do like hand fastening and things like that?
Hand fastening. They did another thing that they baked together and then they fed to each other.
Baked.
Yeah, they baked. They actually baked some. It was like a little cake, like a few little cakes.
Okay.
And like you basically fed each other one of them, and then so you drink from like a goblet.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've had that. So there weren't pagan weddings, but I've had weddings this year, 2024 actually. When I say this year, I'm still thinking in terms of the wedding season.
2024, yeah.
2024, where they would share a drink from a cup. So I don't know if that's like an old tradition or if that's a pagan tradition.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they weren't pagan weddings, but they did that.
But
they had a whiskey flask. It was like this big, this wide, and this little kid. He'd been given a jolly, like carried it up to the front, and he was like pouring it in.
And he managed to pour it.
Oh yeah, I mean it probably wasn't full, but he poured it in, and then they shared a little wee dram.
Wow,
that was a great wedding. Bride on horseback.
Oh, it was that one.
It was that one.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, I love that bride on horseback. So much fun.
Rinsing clips from that because it's just so. It's just so.
But you do though. I always feel bad because I always feel like I have to like almost message the couple and say, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to post another set of your wedding just because.
I think they know what they're. You know, if people ask me not to post something, I will respect their wishes. But it is in my contract that I have permission to share things. But regardless of that, like I say, if they ask me not to, I won't.
I always try and respect their wishes on that, especially if it's something like they went to, because some people do get very self-conscious, and I always then go, okay, if you're a bit on the fence, here's the photos that I'd like to post. Yeah. Are you happy with me posting them? Yeah. If you don't, again, I would still respect your wishes and not do it.
Absolutely.
Which I think is a lot of people. There's some people that don't do that, and I've heard some horror stories. People going, they kept like sharing images or sharing clips of our wedding, and we told them we don't want to, but they was like, it's in my contract, I can do what I want.
Yeah.
I think it's almost you should always just be respectful of people no matter what, even if you have got it in your contract. Yeah. I think respect goes such a long way.
And I quite often will say to the couple when I deliver their film, like, are you happy for me to? Is it okay if I share this? Unless I really want to share it, then I won't ask them.
Hoping they'll never see it. You
signed the contract. Some people make couples sign an NDA. If they don't want their things to be shared, and they have to pay extra for the NDA.
Someone told me this the other day. They said they'd signed an NDA and they had to pay for the photos or something not to be released or something. Or something like that.
So the only experience I have of that was when I started out. I worked with this guy, and he said he does a lot of celebrity weddings.
Oh yeah, I can imagine you have to sign NDAs for that.
Yeah, but he said a lot of his normal clients will ask him as well not to share them. So he says, yeah, it's fine. Here's an NDA, and it's £400. So straight in the pocket. I don't know if there's a certain legal
cost
associated with it.
So I think it's the one thing for us is like if we can't share them, it's like it's less.
It's marketing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's marketing for us.
Yeah,
so we can't. There's nothing for us to post.
I guess having that as part of your business kind of it almost elevates it to another level of professionalism.
Yeah.
But personally, I don't care to do it. I just like it's just more hassle than it's worth. I'd rather just like okay, I won't post it. Take the hit. Like if it was really like great stuff, like if the girl who was on the horse was like, I'd rather you didn't post this. I'd probably like just weep.
Beg. Please,
just one.
Just one.
You don't know how badass you look. It's like you look incredible.
What about bucket list like weddings? Have you got any that you're like, oh, I'd love to do this?
Well, since I got married in Vegas, I'd love to do some Vegas elopements.
Yeah, you're very Americana. So
I love the Americana stuff.
You can then wear your cowboy hat as well.
I could wear, and it's an excuse to wear the cowboy hat. A lot of the elopements, they will obviously tie the knot in Vegas and then drive out to the desert and do a couple shoots in the desert. Like we went out to the Valley of Fire where some people actually get married.
Valley of Fire?
Valley of Fire. It's like an hour or so outside of Vegas. Like we didn't do it as part of our wedding day. Just afterwards, we went on a road trip there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I know you can have like a ceremony there, or you know, like I say, some people drive there after their ceremony in Vegas and take photos in this maze. It's amazing, like it's just these incredible rocks and it's like Mars. It's like you're being on Mars, which sounds like bleak and barren, but
oh no, it sounds insane.
It's absolutely incredible, and like the whole Vegas vibe is like utterly ridiculous.
Yeah,
which is why I wanted to do it, because it's like we were supposed to get married in September of 2020, but then obviously COVID happened.
Was that in Banbury, wasn't it? Outside Banbury?
It was Hatcham Farm in Banbury, which is, if you're looking for a venue, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, really nice.
But then, you know, because of COVID, all got put to one side, and then we got housed, and then we started opening a business, so it was kind of like
life got in the way.
Life got in the way, and then we were sat in the pub beer garden like last summer, and you know, as with all the best decisions in life, after a few beers, we're like,
Is that how it started?
Yeah, that's how Black Hound Tattoo started as well.
No way.
Yeah, so we just sat in the beer garden, and I was like, Sophie, I've built up all this income. Do you want to open another business with me? Tattoo studio. And so rest is history. And then it was in like July or something of 24. We were just in the beer garden. I was like, do you still want to get married? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, should we go to Vegas? She's like, yeah, I've always thought that would be cool.
No way. Yeah. I was going to actually ask you.
She's really good at making things happen. And we kept it secret from everyone, and no one knew.
Yeah,
until
you really did.
I posted a video of Elvis on my Instagram story.
And that's when I knew. I was like, they've got married.
Yeah.
And Sophie was like, no, they haven't.
Which that video is absolutely hilarious.
I thought that was a bit. But he did it.
It was almost like, if you see, maybe I can share the video, like I'll just like cut it into this edit, but it's like...
Inserted here.
Yeah, just like this. Is it running?
So he said to me, do you want to record the ceremony? Like, because we were doing it in the pink Cadillac.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you want to record it? You can just like prop your phone up on the dashboard. I was like, sure. So I took my phone out, pressed record, and he took it off me, and he looked into the front lens, because that's where like we're recording from, rather than the back. And he looks into it and he goes, is this thing on? In like an Elvis voice, and he pressed stop. So the video just stops with him saying that.
I thought that was perfect. Like a bit.
Yeah, it almost looks like it's planned, because the way it just stops like dead on him.
So why did he press stop?
Because he didn't think it was running, so he was pressing it, so he thought he was starting it.
Okay.
But typical dad me cutting it in. It's absolutely perfect. So we sent that to our families and put it on Instagram, and everyone was like, what's going on? Like, what have you done?
Yeah, I could see from the attire that you were wearing, because I didn't see Sophie, but the attire that you were wearing, I was like, they've just got married.
Yeah, we hammed it up. I went full cowboy.
Yeah, you guys looked insane.
Yeah,
when I saw the photos afterwards, I was like, this is amazing. Yeah, you got the perfect attire, the perfect ceremony, the perfect setting, and your photographer was fantastic. She was really good.
Yeah, she was great.
I think you got the perfect formula of exactly what you guys wanted.
Yeah.
And that's almost like, when we saw it, like, yeah, that's very Scott Sophie.
Yeah.
You can't really.
And I feel like the more we thought about like having the whole thing over here, the more we like, felt like it wasn't right for us. And having experienced so many weddings, I was like, this is so fantastic. And like, the days that people curate and put together, it's like, it suits them. It's like, feels like that's what they should be doing. But then
Yeah.
I was like, it doesn't feel like what I want. And I shot a lot of weddings at Hatcham Farm, and like I say, it's absolutely incredible, lovely place. But again, like the amount of people that you need to have there, and the whole kind
looking
of
back
thing.
now, it's like, I'm so glad we didn't do this. Cause
Yeah, it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because actually, like, as nice as it would have been to have all of our friends and family in one place, it was. We're not keen on being centre of attention or having a big fuss made, so it wasn't really right for us.
you have to do a speech and everything.
Yeah.
Cut your cake.
Yeah, just my worst nightmare. The speech, I mean. So I always say to people, like, I always say to my couples, like, do what makes you happy. Like,
Yeah.
don't be influenced too much by other people's expectations and what they want your day to be about.
Yeah, 100%. There's definitely been a few people that I've spoken to like in the past. It sounded like the parents actually
Drive a lot of it.
took control.
And I kind of understand that, because, you know, the older generation are probably a lot more traditional in their thinking.
Yeah.
And they probably have expectations that they've built up over such a long time. You know, from that person being a child right the way through into adulthood, they probably have this image in their mind of what their child's wedding day looks like. So I can understand it to some extent. And some people will always want to please their parents, and other people will want to sort of push the boundaries a bit and do what they want to do.
Yeah,
I would always encourage people to do what they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes, especially as the world's going at the moment, everything's kind of getting a bit more expensive. And I think sometimes the parents are like, I can help you out with this wedding, but you know, in return, let me bring.
I've had to talk to a
couple of
parents
few,
before a couple have booked me. So it's like, oh, well, you need to speak to my mother. She wants to ask you a few questions. And it's like, oh, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to speak to whoever.
Yeah.
Again, it's about, you know, being respectful of what that person wants, what that couple want.
Yeah.
I just personally feel like I would just want to do that myself.
Yeah.
But then if they're financing it, it's kind of like, well, yeah, maybe they want to make sure they're making a sound investment and not just hiring some absolute Herbert to come along with a video camera. Sort of.
Again, that's the other thing, especially when you're doing like wedding fairs and you have to meet. It's a lot of the time you'll meet not just the couple, but you will meet the family. You'll meet both sets of parents, or at least one set of parents.
Yeah,
and it's almost
that's
like
true.
It's like having that sort of. To me, especially when you're meeting the couple, it's kind of like I hate the feeling of me selling myself. I just try to talk to them.
Yeah.
And just kind of like ask them some general questions about their day. But then when it comes with the parents, it's that kind of feeling that like you're meeting your girlfriend's dad for the first time, or parents, and you're like, I really want them to like me. I've got to be on my best behaviour, be nice and polite. And I've always found it's a good thing, especially when you have a good rapport with the parents during the wedding as well, because it just makes it a bit more fun. Yeah. And I've had some really fantastic, especially over the last 24 months, I've had some good weddings with some really fun sets of parents, and it almost they kind of bring you and make you feel like a part of the family. And when you leave, they give you a big hug, and not just a couple, you're getting hugged by like their parents, and they're like, it's like, thank you so much for doing this today. You don't know how much it means to us.
Isn't it funny how you get an instant vibe from some people? Like almost immediately, like you can walk in and chat to someone, and then it's cut straight away. It's like you feel comfortable and at ease, and you feel like you can be yourself with them.
Yeah.
Other people, not so much, and then other people maybe it takes a bit of warming up. I definitely feel like there's some sort of energy people emit that you kind of gravitate to more than others.
No, definitely. Especially a lot of the weddings, when you go to them and you're doing like the bridal prep and the groom prep, you can instantly there's normally one bridesmaid and one groomsman that you instantly click. You're like, right, that's my bridesmaid today, that's my groomsman. If I need anything, I'm asking these two people, and they're fun.
Yeah.
And you kind of always just gravitate pulls you straight towards that person. Like, right, we've got good energy. Yeah. Let's keep this going.
Exactly.
And then when you kind of meet more of the guests during the day, you can kind of especially during like the early stages of the day, you're like, this is going to be a wild one tonight. Yeah. And you can kind of tell which ones are going to be like not causing trouble, but they're going to be like ripping up the dance floor. Yeah. You'll be getting some great photos of them, some great footage.
And then the opposite of that is like when it's like flatlined, and like you try and build a bit of rapport, make some jokes, and it's just like
you're getting
tumbleweeds. It's
nothing
like,
back.
Right, I'm gonna have to work on you a bit. Aren't I?
It's like, but then you kind of go into like a bit of a mindset of like, I've now got to be a performer.
Yeah, because I don't necessarily want to be just the guy who's there to. I mean, obviously that's why I'm there to.
We're not clowns.
I don't want to be the guy who's there just to make a video. Like, That's what I've been employed to do. But at the end of the day, you're a big part of the day. You are interacting with people, so it's just you don't want to be like just kind of like this robot who's like, stand here, let's do this. Oh, is that the uncle? Right, get in for the group shot. Like you want to have a bit of a rapport and back and forth and make it sort of memorable for people. And like,
that one again we did back in the summer. There was always that uncle walking around with 2 pints in his hand. Do you remember that guy? Always, all day. He had 2 pints in his hand.
You were calling him Tommy 2 Pints or something.
something like that. But in every shot, he's like always, he was getting a pint for one of the other people.
But you always caught him with
2 pints all day. Yeah. So then that was like, you might just have this continuous going on. Like when you're walking away next to him, like, what would you, so okay, here's a random one then. So what would you say is kind of like a bit of like a don't for weddings? Have you got I recommend you don't do that?
Oh yeah, 100%. Speeches in between courses.
Oh yeah, speeches between courses.
Don't do it.
I know it breaks up the day, but
breaks my heart.
Yeah, it does break my heart as well because we definitely don't get a break.
No. Also, I think it's disruptive to the guests. It's disruptive to the catering team
because the food can get cold.
I think people do it with the best intentions. It's like, oh, we don't want it to drag on. We don't want people to be bored. But it's kind of like, well, you're going to be having your photos taken when plates are being cleared or plates are coming out, and your wait staff are going to be in and out. And actually, more often than not, it makes the day run later. Every time I've had it, it's pushed things back because for some reason it makes everything take longer, and it means that sometimes I don't get dinner, and I got given a bacon roll.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking because your stomach is making so much noise.
Yeah.
Well, going on to that subject, do you always want to be fed at weddings?
I don't put it in my contract, which some people do. I won't clear my cards on leave if I'm not fed, like the infamous incident.
Yeah.
If I am fed, then it's a bonus.
Yeah.
But I'm a grown up, I can feed myself.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
As long as I think the thing I believe is like there's been a couple of times where I haven't been fed, or so I was told, and then I've gone off site, come back, and they're like, "Where have you been? There's food here for you." And I'm like, "They told me I wasn't getting fed." And they're like, "Oh no, we've got food for you here." And you're like,
"Yeah,
okay, that's just the staff being nice."
Sometimes they bang on it, and they really want to help the suppliers out, sort them out. Don't
and
they?
There's other times, especially if you've been like not so much running late, you've been a little bit unprepared, bringing food with you to the venue. Then when you kind of sit in your car, Google Map wherever you can go, like near your nearest place.
Garage nearby.
Yeah, you're like, it's like 40 minutes away. I'm never going to make it.
No.
I'm just going to literally just go with it, totally empty stomach, and then
wait for the evening pizza or something.
Unfortunately, go to the Golden Arches on the way home.
Yeah,
like almost like a bit of a kind of a bit of a walk of shame walking in. They're like, I didn't bring any food with me. But
there's no other like. I mean, now maybe there is. I don't know, but there's not many other workplaces where you're not given allocated a break where you can go and get food.
Yeah.
So I feel like I say, that best intentions put in speeches between courses, but it's a 10 to 12 hour day, and we do need to eat. We do need to go to the toilet.
Yeah. I always normally, especially with some couples, and if I'm working with them quite closely, I do say to them, have your speeches before the meal.
Yes.
Because there's been a lot of times. There's one wedding in particular was on my.
Too nervous to eat.
Yeah, it was on my first year of doing it. I watched the best man physically just look like he was going to vomit. Just because he was that nervous, he didn't touch his food all day. Was that all day? All that evening at that meal, he didn't touch his food. He did his speech and then pounded the drinks back. Absolutely pounded them back. And I was like, I feel like so relieved, and he was gone.
It's a big thing, if you've never done it, standing up
in
a room full of people.
Yeah, it's scary.
I've only done it the one time, and I was kind of a bit shocked at the physiological effects it had on my body. I stood up and my heart was like.
But isn't it strange though? But we'd be happy to try and organise a group shot or tell people to get in position, whereas everyone's looking at you. You're in the same position, but you're not giving a speech, obviously, about a heartfelt speech.
I think that's different because it's everyone's not sat down looking at you. You're just kind of directing people to be in one place.
Yeah. And
then it's kind of when it's done, it's done. They're not hanging on your every word, sort of thing.
I think, especially with the best men, I always feel really sorry for them because they definitely have to be like the closers. They have to be the entertainers.
Yes.
It's like you need to make people laugh,
yes,
or you're gonna bomb.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I think you can either make it really funny or really heartfelt, and you can get people both ways.
And what do you think when people try to be funny, but it's the same jokes you've heard from Google? We could reel them off, couldn't we?
It kills me a lot, especially when there's an upper hand joke that I hear pretty much week in week out, and I'm a bit sick of that now. But it gets a laugh. So,
but maybe that's it. Maybe it's because the average person
hasn't heard
go
it.
to 40 odd weddings a year and hasn't heard
Do you know what?
it.
This is really true. Yeah, really true.
The cake's in tears.
Yeah.
The best man speech should be as long as the groom lasts in bed.
Yeah.
That's the classic. I heard one good one, and I've only ever heard it once, but it feels like it's probably from Google. The best man, he said, "Doesn't the bride look lovely today?" Blah blah blah, and everyone's like claps and cheers. And then he followed it up with, "And it's really nice to see her wear something other than the trousers in the relationship." I thought, well, that's a good one. I've not heard that before, but it feels like you probably find it on Google.
But there has definitely been times that I've heard a speech and I've actually gone up to the best man afterwards and go, that was really good. And I'm not just saying that, like, obviously, like you said, we hear 40 plus
when
a
it's
year.
funny because it's actually personable, like they've actually written it themselves. And some people have just got a natural way of being funny, haven't they?
Yeah, I think there's definitely, you meet people that are really good at like just presenting themselves in front of groups of people, like public speaking.
Yeah.
And there's other ones you like, they're just reading because of this and then this, and then like this, you just not coming for the breath. Yeah. They want to get it over and done with. Yeah. But there's certain people that you don't think they're going to surprise you, and then they'll do the speech and you're like, that was really good. Yeah. Like the jokes were great. Yep. The way you formatted and structured everything was fantastic. Yep. And your delivery was amazing. Yeah. 10 out of 10. Yeah. Like, yeah, you can't go wrong. But then I also like now when you hear the bridesmaid speeches, because the bridesmaid speeches now, they're becoming really popular.
And even the bride.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, we had one in October, and the best man, the groom, the father of the bride and the maid of honor all did one. Yeah. And yeah, it's refreshing to hear him as well, because you kind of get a different sort of twist on the traditional best man speech. You kind of get like it's almost like a bit more of a sentimental one, like especially from the girls. But they can obviously be ruthless as well. Oh, the girls can be like absolutely like devastatingly funny. Yeah. But I found as well, like, I don't know if you've had it, if a speech does stand out to you and you go up to that person and be like, oh, that was great, like, honestly, one of the best speeches I've ever heard. 9 times out of 10, they always go, oh, you probably say that to everyone though. And I literally don't. If I say that to you, I really mean it. Yeah. Like, if Scott's giving you a good, because I have to sit through it again. Yeah, good review. I have to sit through the speeches multiple times when I'm editing them. Yeah. So I'm hearing these lines over and over and over again. Again, photo-wise, you can kind of remember what people were saying, and you kind of have that sort of like that timeline in your head. But we don't get to hear. We heard them onns, and then that's it, like everyone else. But like you said, you get to relive all those lines. So my process is I will like, when I'm making the highlights film, I listen to the speeches in full, and then like when I hear a bit, I highlight it and I favourite it, and then by the end of the speeches, I've then just got little sound bites that I can like position on the timeline, like where I think they best fit. So yeah, I'm listening to those speeches over and over again. So when they're good, I very much appreciate it. Oh yeah, they're amazing. And there was one set that stands in my mind from August that did a wedding at the Complete Angler. And it was like dual best men, and the groom as well. Actually, they were just like rip-roaringly funny. Really? Yeah, just watching a real comedy trio. Just watching them back, and it's like, well, I've got a bit of a dark sense of humour, and they were making very risque jokes about the groom. So I was just watching them back. I was absolutely cracking up laughing. And it's just like, it's not going to be possible every time. But if you haven't ever written a speech and you do Google jokes and things, I think it's a good starting point, but maybe just like use them as a base to build off of, and then AI is your friend. Yeah, just make them your own, like tweak them and make it a bit different, and maybe we do a whole thing on how to do a good speech. Maybe all 4 of you, please like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, so speeches, obviously that's like towards the end of the day, and after that, as we said earlier, it's kind of all sort of plain sailing, isn't it? It's like that's when the party starts. But I feel maybe that's a good time to wrap up, and we can get into the more nitty-gritty side of the dance floor and Yes.
in future if
And
we do
could
more of these.
I think we could do probably a whole episode on dance floor shenanigans.
Dance floor shenanigans, scandalous behaviour,
Scandalous
things of
behaviour.
that nature.
I've not got that much. Everyone's been pretty well behaved.
I know. I've been asked to do a podcast, and they said, "Can you submit like a story of like something scandalous or like outrageous?" I reckon my brain's like, everyone, it's pretty normal. Like, so I've got to have a good think.
It's like you definitely do hear some I've heard some horror stories.
I've heard lots of things like anecdotally, but never experienced it myself.
No. No, me personally, no. Everyone's been really well behaved.
But that's maybe why I want to do more of these. We can get some of our friends in the industry to come on.
Yeah.
Have a more of an informal chat and see if we can get some juicy dirt out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we'll have some juicy data.
Yeah.
It's good. It's definitely one of those ones that like you get different stories and different reactions from different people in the industry. So it's like if there is anyone any sort of genre of the industry that you'd like to hear more from, definitely drop us a message.
Yeah.
Write it down in the comments. And
if you are watching this and you're in the industry, whether that's hair, makeup, photography, DJ, whatever it may
booth,
be, photo
cake,
booth,
florist.
if you want to come on and have a chat, like I say, it's not like a structured podcast. It's just like a coffee chat with friends, even though we didn't have coffee this time because it's shut.
We did have some fizzy drinks.
We did some fizzy drinks and some Haribo. So
other brands are.
we can do it, and we can just hang out. It's a cool space to hang out in and have a good old chinwag. So
yeah, absolutely.
Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and all that stuff. And
All that good stuff.
see you on the next one.
Bye bye.